about to get started to see which one can be the most retarded. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show. Tinfoil haters, don't tell them what to say. Tinfoil haters are here to save the day. Sandy are about to get started to see which one can be the most retarded. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show. Tinfoil haters, it's time to start the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Tinfoil Haters. How are all you vital idols doing? We are back. Took yesterday off because, let's be real, sometimes you gotta touch some grass. But man, we are back, and with the new Conjuring film out, we're doing a whole ass Conjuring block. We got Nadia with us. Right after this show, we're going to be rating directly into her, rating her hard when she's going to cover the film. But we're not going to cover the film. Instead, we're going to cover the actual terrible human beings that the Warrens really were and the frauds that they were. But before we get into any of that, my lovely co-host, Sammy 3P, tell the people who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Sammy 3P. I make videos about Batman and I cover the news on Sundays. And other than that, you can find me here. I was looking into all those cases. Turns out in every single one, the true monsters were the Warrens.
Every time. Every goddamn time. What about you, Cindy? Tell the people who you are, what you do. Do you have any familiarity with the Warrens, anything like that? Where are you at with this?
I actually read a couple of their books, which scared the crap out of me when I was younger. So, like,
really?
Yeah. So I was horrified to learn that these were awful people because they took advantage of people who were desperate and in need. And yeah, I don't know. That really irks me.
And last but not least, we got Nadia, guest today, who runs her own horror-themed channel, as if you guys didn't know this already. Give us your thoughts and kind of where you're at with all of this.
So, like Simi, I've read their books when I was way younger, and I've followed Ed and Lorraine cases when I was really into like true crime, the paranormal, listening to a lot of stuff. I've always kind of felt they were a little bit frauds. I think there's a little bit of truth to maybe that they started off wanting to help people, or at least Lorraine, and then it just kind of evolved into them being horrible individuals to these families that probably were suffering a lot of issues. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about them today. Thank you for having me on. And the movie was not good. Just spoilers to everybody.
Great. So if you guys want to know what you're going to get into on Audio Show after this, apparently the movie wasn't good. These guys were actual grifters. I'm be real. People that call folks like Senator or myself or whatever, oh, you're grifters. What? No, this is actual grifting. This is swindling people out of their money. That being said, speaking of grifting, we got the pre-stream legend hit before we get started. Jake Martin coming in with that 20 banger. You'll love to see it. Thank you so much, homie. It is a Shiba Inu raising a #1 flag. Homie, you know what time it is. We're going to give you your own very special, dedicated, although you sort of share it, clip.
Chip, you know what? You just made the list.
Oh, no. Oh, here we go.
And then the ever lovely Piranha Pal with a 2-banger saying Leon is a mollusk because he's one shell of a guy. I thought it was because I was tiny. Either way, this is for you. And this isn't even going to be the worst thing you hear on this show today.
I fuck one of the robot dogs.
No.
Bingo, bango,
Kind of like what we were talking
right.
about backstage.
we in it now, boys. We in it now. All right. So first of all, Ed and Lorraine, they're demonologists. Now, is there anybody here on this panel that doesn't believe in some way, shape, or form in the study of demonology?
I think
No. So go for it.
I think the overall, like getting a degree in it. Okay, so I'm Catholic, raised Catholic. I had a cousin who was studying to be a priest. There's a lot of steps that have to go through for an exorcism. People don't even know who the exorcist is. Like whoever is assigned to the Catholic Church or that diocese, nobody knows who they are. There's no like, oh, we'll just contact so-and-so. There's like degrees you got to go through. So to get a degree in quote unquote demonology, I think it's a little bit of a farce degree, similar to liberal arts. No offense to liberal arts.
Yeah. So outside of the structured like degree aspect, do you think it is a legitimate field of study though?
I think it could go into a study with Catholicism and theology because demons, you know, it kind of overlaps each other. But what is a demon? Because there's different cultural interpretations of what a demon is, different religious interpretations of what a demon is. So I think you have to specify like what is a demon first before you could even study it.
Let me broaden the question then. Do we think that paranormal investigation is a legitimate something that you could, is there a legitimacy to the idea of paranormal investigation?
I think so. I think I don't know. What do you think, Sammy?
Oh, I definitely think for paranormal investigation, I think a lot of these things, especially like demonology, gets like murkied because like, oh, you don't know this from the Bible, you know this from Miller, or you know this from Dante. You know, you got this from things that aren't actually religious dogma or canon, so to speak. These are things that, just like all legends, they kind of evolve over time. So to claim that you're an expert on that in anything other than, well, this demon's good for this, or what their story is, or how it might relate to the Bible, that's one thing. But then to go like, oh no, this is Moloch and he's in your house, like, no, that's absurd. Now, do I believe in ghosts? I absolutely believe in ghosts. I don't think that those things are necessarily related. Although I mean, I've seen different type of hauntings where they say, hey, this appears to be more demonic, but part of the point of this show is we go through with a very analytical scope and we try to debunk these things. And sometimes we're going, hey, this seems legitimate, but for the most part we kind of go, hey, there could have been an air vent there.
Cindy,
I believe
what about you.
Go for it,
Nadia.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Nadia, you're a guest. Go for it.
I believe people. So being raised Catholic, we don't believe in ghosts, right? We believe people go to an afterlife. But I also believe that we're made up of energy and that we do leave marks of energy around, and depending on how traumatic of a life you might have had or how much of an individual you are, you leave some of that energy behind. But like, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if I would say I believe in ghosts, like somebody like grandma walking down the hallway or something. I just think it's just an energy, but that's from my own personal belief though. Being Catholic.
And last but not least, Cindy, what about you?
Yeah.
Well, I am also Catholic, but I've seen too much shit to be able to say that no, ghosts are not.
We got
a
a couple filthy child fuckers on stream with us today. God damn.
I am also Catholic.
Am I the only non-Catholic here?
Like,
am I really the only non-Catholic on the show?
Yeah. Heathen.
Well, I'll be damned. Sorry, go on, Cindy.
I think my biggest fear with the ghost, like, yeah, I know, right? Can I actually do that? Yes, I can.
Yeah. I did.
No, I
did
can't.
that.
I cannot. It's to credit. Like a Catholic would. But like, I think my biggest fear is that, should they be real, you're gonna have these dumb kids who would actually try to do an exorcism by themselves because they've seen it on TV and it can be done. I don't know. But yes, I do believe in ghosts. I do believe in demons. It's a scary topic.
I believe with you, Simi, because I think so I've had experience where I've told like my sister who likes to go to psychics and stuff, and she's like, oh, mom's communicating with me. But I feel like you're opening a door for something that is not mom to communicate with you. I believe in
100.
demons, 100%, and they find ways to go through. But the idea of ghosts, I think, is more energy, because as a Catholic, I believe you go to an afterlife. Either you go to heaven or hell. So go ahead, Leon, sorry.
But there are things even, like limbo for the unbaptized. But then again, we're getting into Dante and all those other conversations. Yeah, I am kind of with you on that. I feel like if something traumatic like happened someplace, they can leave a snapshot almost, or a I like to call it like an energy inertia, where it just kind of keeps on going. But who knows? But then again, and as I've said many times on this on this channel, I grew up in a haunted house. My first house was haunted.
So did I.
And it's so weird. Like, I'll talk to my dad, who will give pretty much answers like you, where I'll go, "Hey, do you believe in ghosts?" He's like, "No, I'm a Catholic." And it was like, it was like, "But why did we move out of the first house?" And he's like, "Because it was haunted." And I was like, "Okay, you want to help me navigate through that, or?"
Same thing, pretty well.
Speaking of hauntings, so we'll go ahead and get into basically the way we're going to structure this is we're going to talk about some of their most famous cases first and why they are, in my opinion, bunk. Not just that the Warrens, by the way, were faking it, but also the cases themselves were often bunk. And then we'll get into the real monster at the end of the book. For those of you that know, you know. For those of you that don't, prepare to have every Conjuring film completely ruined for you.
Oh yeah.
We start off with this little bit of a puff piece, at least what I would consider a puff piece, by from Wicked Horror when reading into it. Were Ed and Lorraine Warren frauds? Quite possibly, but it depends on who you ask. The pair were two of the most divisive names in the paranormal field. The cases, of course, are legend, and they even found more success the subjects of the 2013 film The Conjuring and its sequel, The Conjuring Tomb, so on and so forth. Both cases we will go over today, plus some others. They also infamously investigated the Amityville house and determined that it was indeed haunted. They became prominent experts in the field of paranormal investigation, wrote several best-selling books about their cases. One of the most infamous, even before the movie, was the Annabelle case. They also covered everything from haunted cemeteries to werewolf possession. They investigated the haunting in Connecticut, which featured a film of the same name as base. And they were on the up. Were they on the up and up, or were they actually frauds? An overview of their work as paranormal investigators. Ed and Lorraine Warren worked hundreds of cases. Many of them have been turned into films for either theatrical exhibition or television. They themselves made numerous appearances on paranormal shows like World's Most Haunted, Paranormal State. And while Ed died in 2006, Lorraine continued to make appearances until not long before her death in 2019. She also ran a private occult museum out of her home in Connecticut. They achieved more success than virtually any other paranormal investigator in history. After a long time provided inspiration for people looking to get in the field, were they actually fakes? Now, before we get into whether or not they were fakes, which, spoiler, I think everybody here believes in some part they were, hence the title of this episode. But whether they were fake or not, do you think that their notoriety helped or hindered the study and continuation of paranormal investigation into the mainstream? Not even start with you, go to the left.
Oh, sorry.
Before we get into that, do you know who owns their occult museum now?
Matt Rife.
Which is the fucking weirdest thing.
I know. I
was Zach Baggins for a while, right? And then
didn't they lose
Zach
the
Baggins
Annabelle
didn't
doll?
own it. No. Yeah, they lost it. They found it. He has it. Zach Baggins owns his own different. He's a different type of museum. Me
and Sammy have talked about for our first Tinful of Haters on the road sort of thing. See if we can go there and do a live episode from Matt Rife's now owning of their house. But we'll see what comes from that. But anyway, go for it, Nadia. And we'll hit your super chats after this first part of the topic, guys.
Remind me your question again, Leon. Sorry.
Do we think that their notoriety and their putting this sort of paranormal investigation in the mainstream helped or hindered the study?
I think it helped the study. I think maybe it allowed people who might be really in these positions to get help a little bit easier because they brought it to the mainstream. But on the flip side, it hinders it because I think if we're debunking them and their cases, I think that takes away some truth to actual people who suffer from possessions and hauntings and things like that. So I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with it.
Cindy, what about you?
Oh, I definitely think it hindered, because then you had all these charlatans come out of nowhere and just be like, oh, we could do this too, which I feel like would make anybody suddenly pull back from that area because too many people are trying to shine a light on it in, I think, a negative way by, acting out and, I don't know, just messing with the wrong forces and then trying to show it to the world and be like, hey, look what we did. You could do it too. It's entirely possible. So to me, I feel like they probably heard it.
Sammy, what about you?
Yeah, I also think it's like a double-edged sword here, catch 22. Yes, I think they forwarded the idea of like ghost hunting and things like that, where now you have making it more mainstream, where now you have people actually bringing in actual scientific equipment, trying to study the paranormal, and it's not as frowned upon as it was. But also you have arguably the two most famous people in the field with countless movies made about their endeavors, and every single one appears to be a fabrication, and not only that, just a farce. And so I think that definitely hurts that field. But yeah, I don't think as we know them now, paranormal investigators would exist without them.
All right, fair enough. Well, it goes on to say there's no definitive proof to say for sure whether Ed and Lorraine Warren were frauds, but there's no definitive proof to say they weren't. Now, hold on. This is why I said this is a puff piece. From this right here, there is no definitive proof. Do we all agree here that there is proof that if, or at least in their biggest cases, their most well-known cases, there is legit proof of fraudulent activity?
Absolutely.
There's fraudulent activity. Even when you listen to them, if you watch their interviews talk about this stuff, they don't provide proof. It's just really enhanced storytelling that they're able to get people to believe. Even in their books, they somehow the camera stops rolling, or somehow they just see this orb in the left, or somehow Lorraine sees a demon. I'm just, this is just stuff, just as examples, but it's always told in a storytelling point perspective, not actual like facts, like a written scientific paper.
Well, I mean, even then, you have people who were involved in like the Amityville house, and what was the one in Europe that they were, the one in Britain that they went out to?
Enfield.
Yeah, it was in the Enfield, where they basically said Ed and Lorraine basically told us to say this. And it's not up for debate. It's like these people are on record saying like they told us to lie. I mean, yeah, this is definitely a pup piece.
So, well, last thing we'll read on this before we get into the actual stories. There's a lot of debate on the subject. There's no clear answer, really. To determine whether or not Ed and Lorraine Warren were frauds would require a clear answer on whether or not ghosts are real. This is what I take exception with in this article. Whether ghosts are real or not doesn't actually matter. Even if ghosts aren't real, they're fraud. Obviously, they're frauds. Like, if ghosts don't exist, they're frauds because they're peddling that ghosts exist. But if ghosts do exist, they can still be frauds by faking ghostly activity and by faking their findings in certain instances. So no, the reality of ghosts, of ghosts existing isn't the counterpoint here.
Yeah, two things can be true at once.
I think there could be an ounce of truth in these cases, right? Some of these cases, definitely some of them are fraudulent, but there are some points that maybe there was a haunting, maybe there was some kind of demonic entity involved in this person's life. But I feel like it's like 10%, and then once you add Ed and Lorraine into it, because most of these cases they came in later in the timeline of when everything started. So I think they are the ones that like overdo it, like embellish it more so. Also, their occult museum. Have you ever seen actual photos of it? The real, like what it really looked like?
It's tiny.
It's jinxy. It's like a thrift store or like an estate sale. It's not like what the movie portrays it as, these like big pieces that are just, even Annabelle itself, though I think the rag doll is actually a little bit more terrifying than the doll that they portray in the movies. But the idea of a rag doll just doing that, let's start
with that. Let's talk about the rag doll.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Nadia before we get into the spoilers of how it's supposedly debunked and whatnot. What does everybody know about the story? We'll start with Nadia and we'll snake around. What's the version of the story that you've heard?
Wasn't it? It's
Or
a
Ren.
Raggedy Ann doll that was possessed by some demonic force, and I think it was like nursing students that saw movement or something to that extent with them. And I don't know much about the Annabelle story. I know more so about like Amityville, the Enfield, and Poltergeist. But I thought it was. I know on the movie they portrayed it as nursing student, but it was like just some demonic entity that's in this Raggedy Ann doll that was like causing movements, and I think maybe caused somebody to kill themselves. Maybe I can't recall.
All right, Cindy, what do you know about the Annabelle case?
I really, aside from the nurses that were involved, I don't know much past that.
Okay, perfect. Sammy, what about you?
Yeah, I know that it was a Raggedy Ann doll. You know, it's not half as terrifying to look at as its movie counterpart.
I don't know. I have a Raggedy Ann doll. That thing is really creepy.
I mean, to each their own. I think the Annabelle doll isn't. If I walked into a room and I saw the Raggedy Ann doll, and I walked into a room and I saw the Annabelle doll, I'm going to be much more uncomfortable with the
Well,
Annabelle doll.
I have it on
I
a
mean,
tall
we did an
bookcase
episode-
looking
sorry,
down.
What was that, Cindy?
I was trying to say I have it on a tall bookcase and it's looking down. So when you enter the room, it's
Okay.
looking down at you.
No,
I
Well,
don't
me
like
and
dolls
Sammy
in
did an
general.
entire episode on haunted
Yeah.
dolls. We come to realize that, there's not a single instance of a haunted doll that we found credible. In fact, I think, did we talk about Annabelle in that episode, or did we save it because we knew we were going to be doing this? I don't remember.
I think we brushed upon it where it was just like, but even then we were just kind of like, yeah, this all seems to be bullshit. We definitely got into Robert and
We talked about Robert. We talked
Oh,
about the Isles
yeah.
of Dolls, things like that. So here's the story for the Annabelle doll. You guys are correct. 2 nursing students, Donna and Angie, and then you had Donna or Angie. One of the two had a boyfriend, and the boyfriend was the one who was reportedly attacked multiple times. He was reportedly attempted to be strangled by this doll. At one point, the doll.
can you imagine
brought in
being
a-
strangled by a Raggedy Ann? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you
Beta male, dude. Fucking beta male.
By a
If I
Raggedy
was these
Ann
girls, I broke up with your bitch ass on the spot. I
Yeah.
you couldn't even handle a fucking Raggedy Ann doll, you bitch. How you gonna protect me if I'm getting like
First of all,
raped in
with
the
the
alleyway
hands
or
of mitten, like, isn't it like
Yeah.
a Raggedy Ann? Yeah. So how is it like?
I could just like imagine like something like my wife would say, like, "Hun, the first part of her name is Raggedy."
Well, and then it goes on. So they had a priest come in. The priest explains that this is a 7-year-old girl, and she is trapped in this doll. She's benevolent. She's nice. But then the doll continues to talk ridiculous shit and harm the boyfriend. Apparently, scratching. They say scratching under his clothes. You had a bunch of cuts appear that appeared in the mark of the beast, and then it healed within just a couple of days. So the Warrens come in, and they're like, no, this is not a benevolent 7-year-old girl. This is a demon taking the form of a 7-year-old girl. There's only one problem with this whole story. No one but the Warrens know this story. No one's ever reported on this aside from the Warrens. And
The storytelling aspect. Yeah. The storytelling aspect of their stuff. Yep.
Mhm.
And it's not even their story. This was a direct copy from a 1963 episode of The Twilight Zone called The Haunted Doll.
Yes.
And guess what the mom's name in that episode is?
Annabelle.
Annabelle.
You're shitting me.
I'm 100% honest.
I
They
didn't
literally
even
ripped
know
this
that. That is
story.
new
They ripped
information.
this story from an episode of Twilight Zone, which Ed Warren was openly a fan of the show.
That's
Also,
crazy.
even if even that stuff was going down with the boyfriend, what was the one girl's name?
There's
Donna.
Donna and there's Angie.
Okay, Angie. There's way easier ways to break up with somebody. Just throwing that
Well,
out there.
but here's the thing. Okay. Example. Let's say this was real. He was being attacked, but Ed like embellished all this shit. Like nobody's actually getting help for it, right? Demonic presence do exist, but that's crazy. I didn't know that he. Yeah,
I'm not denying. Yeah,
wow.
for sure, not
Yeah.
denying that they exist. My thought process is if you have a priest come in, if it's a demonic entity, that priest gonna know it's a demonic entity. I mean, unless they're
Yeah.
just really bad at their job, and a priest should know. But yeah, once you factor in the fact that there was an episode of Twilight Zone released 15 years prior, called the haunted doll that's followed the exact same premise where the mom's name was Annabelle. I'm like, that's enough. That's enough for me to call this one debunked. I don't need anything else. Maybe I'll do lenient, but that one's good enough.
No, I agree with you. I think that one definitely debunks it. That's crazy to me. Plus, even again with the priest, if it was a Catholic priest, you have to go through rules and regulations, and you have to submit your case and the proof, and then it has to go through. And you don't even know who the person is that's supposed to come in, like the exorcist, to help. Nobody does. And I know this for a fact because my cousin was studying. He was one of the 2 from the United States that was going to go that studied over in Italy to be a priest.
Damn, your cousin could have been the new pope, but instead they chose that
he
dude
left.
in Chicago.
He left. Yeah, he left.
Ah.
He decided he wanted a family and kids and stuff. But I was asking him one day because,
well, to be fair, he could have had kids, just in a very different way, from what I hear.
But he's told me like nobody knows who these people are, and these things have to be submitted through. So, yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah,
all right,
real quick, let's hit these 2 supers. Girthy Banana came in with a 5-banger. Today's stream brought to you by KFC Ghost Pepper Chicken, and will haunt you going through, in and out of you. That's all right. Come on now, Girthy Banana. You know exactly what you're getting.
That's stupid. You're stupid. Stop being stupid.
Then we got boy Zach's becoming a member. Happy early birthday. We're gonna be on his show tomorrow, celebrating his birthday. Everybody better show up and show out. Also, happy birthday to Atreus.
Wait, he's also got a birthday stream tonight, just so you guys know.
No, it's tomorrow.
I thought it was tomorrow. It's 9:10. I know. I did the same mistake.
You made the chat today.
Oh, damn it.
Stream is tomorrow. People in the chat were wrong. Yes, no. Birthday stream for Zach's tomorrow. Zach's is for you.
That is creepy.
That might be the scariest. Go for it.
No, that's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, that might be the scariest thing you guys see all day. Alrighty. So let's go on to some of their other cases. Give me a moment here. Which one do we want to tackle first?
I think
you know
Amityville's the next one in the order.
Oh, perfect. Let's talk about Amityville then, because Amityville is an interesting case because this is one of the few where, I mean, yes, the Warrens were obviously collaborate on the fraudulent aspect, but there was fraud in this case well before the Warrens came in. So this time we'll start with Sammy and we'll wrap back down to Nadia, especially since Nadia, I bet, knows a lot about this one. Sammy, what do you know about the Amityville case as a whole? Not necessarily just the Warren stuff, but in general.
Yeah, it's what is it? It's a haunted house case where a guy came in and basically killed his whole family, and then another family, I think from New York, moved in, and they started experiencing a bunch of crazy phenomenon as well, and they believe that the father was possessed, and then they called in the Warrens, and and obviously all the things that happened in the movie. But the actual case, I mean, that's really all I know. I think there were some mob connections in there somewhere. I can't remember. But that's really all I remember.
Cindy, what about you?
The only I thought it was a case of that they didn't want the house anymore, and so they tried to mention that there was a ghost involved and did this whole thing. But that's heartbreaking if that's the case, because I really liked it as a horror story. I read. Go ahead.
Amityville's pretty bunk. No, it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's pretty bunk.
It's so frustrating because I loved it. I've read books after.
Now there is some interesting stuff about at least one interesting thing about the Amityville case that calls the crime into question, but that's like true crime stuff as opposed to supernatural. But Nadia, what about you?
By the way, Sydney, I think you might be referring to a recent case in Indiana where the woman she was behind in her rent, so she claimed the house was haunted. That's what Zach Baggins.
That happens. We're going to be covering a case where that happens today, but it's a completely separate one. But yeah,
that's what Zach Baggins stairway. He has the stairway in his museum for. It's a well-known case, but it's been debunked. But I know what you're talking about. This one, Sammy's right. 1974, Ronald, I think it's Dave Fout Jr., said he heard voices and killed his parents and 4 siblings. I'm looking at my notes while they slept, and he was convicted and sentenced to 6 life sentences.
Real quick, since you got that detail right, we will say this is the one thing about the case that to this day bugs me. The gun he used to do so, very loud gun, killed them all within minutes of each other, while they were still sleeping in their beds throughout multiple parts of the house. How the fuck did no one wake up? Toxicology reports showed that no one had been drugged or was under the influence of anything. So it is very strange that he was able to just murder fuck his entire family with an insanely loud gun in an enclosed space. That is strange. But that's the only part of this that
Kind of the
is
channel
really
murder fucking.
Could be a demonic influence, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
There's things, but that happened in 1974. The Lutz family moved in December of 1975. They got the house as a bargain. They only lasted about
$18,000.
a month. I think like around 25 to 28 days in the house. They reported things like cold spots, foul odors, green slime. They had one of the kids had an imaginary friend described as Jody, pig-like creature with glowing red eyes, doors and windows slammed
by the
shut.
way, so sorry, Nadia, I hate to interrupt,
No, go
but
ahead.
like just as someone, if ever I am lucky enough to have children, and one of my children has an imaginary friend, and they already start talking to the
I'm burning the
imaginary
house
friend
down.
quite weird, I'm calling a priest immediately. I've seen
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
horror movies to know that I'm not going to the doctors. I'm going from zero to priest. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, you're good. Yeah, continue, Nadia. We guys will hit
They
super
lasted-
chats after this story.
They lasted about a month, so probably like let's say they moved out probably late January. I would say mid February. Ed and Lorraine Warren weren't invited till March of 1976. So the Lutz family had abandoned the house well before that they were involved. And Ed claimed there was a presence of a powerful demonic entity. Lorraine reported being overwhelmed by a dark, oppressive energy, clairvoyant visions and such. So and I think there's a photo of like a ghost boy.
Yeah, that was the only other thing I wanted to bring up
Yeah.
as of note, because that is actually a pretty creepy photo.
Because
Now-
I heard the only thing is I heard there was an actual boy of one of the people who was there taking photos, and the kid had snuck into the shot on accident.
He wasn't a boy. So his name is Paul Bartz. He was part of the investigation crew. The reason it looks like he's got those glowing eyes is because the camera caught a lens flare. He looks like a boy because in the photo, the angle it's taken at, he's actually bending down, setting up equipment, and you just see his head went out over the banister, so he looks tiny. That's because he's hunched down, setting up equipment. They just happened to catch a photo of him saying that. So yeah, you're talking about Paul Bartz. He wasn't a boy. He was actually a member of the investigation team. They just never sought to clear that up. And beyond that, you were talking about, how the Warrens came in. They, there's all this demonology. There's these demonic presences. Well, the Lutz family, in the 27 or 28 days, however long they were there, they actually did call a priest. In fact, his name was Father Pecoraro.
Right.
And you want to know what he had to say about the house?
It's not haunted.
Yeah, he felt nothing. He actually felt that it was a lovely home. He did the spiritual cleansing anyway to put the family at ease. But he was like, yeah, no, this seems like a normal ass house to me.
Yeah, there was no swarm, like the movies show, like swarming of flies and like bugs and this whole. There was never reports of stuff like that. So like,
No,
and
it
the house
wasn't
was
this
in
giant
perfect
booming
condition
voice
when they
going,
left.
"Get out."
yeah.
So
Ryan
the
Reynolds
thi-
wasn't
here-
walking
here's
around
why the-
shirtless.
Unfortunately.
So
bad.
here's my issue with the Warrens is that even though, so it's pretty obvious at this point what had happened, and there have been multiple people on record state this. So homeboy that killed all of his, his parents and siblings, he was still on trial for the murder when the Lutz family moved in. There had not been a conviction yet. So the lawyer, his lawyer, was trying to get him off on an insanity plea. So the lawyer met with the family that was living there now, the Lutz family. And, after an entire night, they claimed 4 bottles of wine and concocted this elaborate hunting story. And so before the Warrens are even involved, this is a grift out the gate because the lawyer wants to get homie off on for the murder, and he's going to use insanity to do it. They got drunk, invented the idea that this is ghosts, this is demons. And the Warrens, they actually the ones duped here. They fell for it. They come to this house. And because they are, in my opinion, frauds, because Lorraine Warren does not actually have any sort of, spiritual guiding aura light thing that she claims to have, they went along with it, not knowing that even the people who made this up knew they made it up. Like, that's the fraudsters got defrauded themselves in this instance.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know
Yeah.
about that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And again,
Yep.
this is common for a lot of their cases where they don't come in until the very end of like the activity, or they come in and somebody says, "Oh, I saw a ghost in the corner," and then they elaborate it to be something demonic. They also say there's a difference between ghosts and demons, but then they mix it up some of the time, similar to like the first movie The Conjuring is based off of that case. They're like,
That's the one we're going to talk about next.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah. But
Saying-
before we get into talking about the actual Conjuring case, which this one, in my opinion, is one of the most I don't want to say heartbreaking, but like the after effects of both this case and the movie are they led to some bad real world stuff. But first, let's go ahead and hit these two soups that came in. 3 soups actually. Girthy Banana Bread 2-banger. It's also Bubbles, the Trey's birthday. Yeah, I said that already. In fact, I, being the good friend I am, got him a gift. I got a Trace a gift. Soap. Mike Hollow coming in with that 10-banger. Don't break my illusion. This is real. None of his stories have ever been fabricated. That's my British accent for you, Mike, if you're still watching. I love you, brother. We haven't chatted in a while. You need to hit me up, or I gotta hit you up. It's been a minute, homie. Thank you so much for the 10-banger. And then Bio T Wolf for the 5-banger. I found my niece playing with the voodoo doll. She had already promised that she would stop it. I really felt like I got stabbed in the back. God damn it. I didn't realize a joke was coming in. Okay. Usually I can tell when it's a joke in advance, but you know what? You got me with that one. I didn't realize. This is for all you guys. Happy birthday, Atreus.
Leon, Moxie, are y'all niggas happy? Y'all happy? You proud of yourself? I hope you niggas is happy. Congratulations to all the new single moms on the channel, but I just hope you niggas are just so happy with what you've done.
Bingo, bango, bongo. You love to see it. Guys, thank you so much for all your generosity. Alrighty. Conjuring time. Now, what do you guys know? I'm going to save you for last again because I imagine you guys probably know the most about the actual case that inspired the film The Conjuring. Sammy, what about you?
Yeah, I know it's kind of like the similar situation. What it's like this family in Rhode Island. They go to a house, and I guess it's it's haunted by what was the name? Bathsheba was the
Bathsheba Sherman.
Yeah, how could I forget Bathsheba? But what the hell's that?
Someone. Oh, that must be Cindy. All right, anyway,
Okay.
Continue, Sammy.
I either way, and then the Warrens came and did what the Warrens do. It's just seemed like this family was having a rough time, and they were taking advantage of it.
All right, Nadia, what do you know about the Bathsheba Sherman story, or about the exploration, the studies, the whole nine? Go for it, because we're gonna really get into some good shit
Bathsheba
here.
never existed. She never existed. This was a
she did.
fabrication.
No, she did exist. The story around her. So there are historical records
Okay.
of her existing.
Okay, fair enough. There's historical records, but there's not the story of her being a witch and a cult and all that kind
all
of
that's
stuff.
fake. Yes.
That was fabricated by the Warrens, to be honest. So, it's the Perrin family haunting that the Conjuring movie is based off. Sammy, you're right. They moved to a house in Rhode Island, January of 1971. Farmhouse with a lot of history dating back to the 1700s. From the moment they moved in, they reported things like small disturbances, like brooms moving, like actual like sweeping noises, and then they would find a broom with like a pile of dirt next to it, bed levitating, sounds like knocking, footsteps, spirits that the children claimed to see, both friendly ghosts. So initially the story was they moved in, they knew there were ghosts in there, that they were friendly, and then they got bad ghosts, I guess, or the ghost flipped the switch to the point where I guess the girls were sexually assaulted by some of the ghosts too, like a very sinister.
All the girls and eventually even the father was supposedly raped by the ghost.
This is a common thing in the Warren. By the way, this happens also in the Smurl family, which the last movie is based off to. Father being sexually assaulted by like a succubus type of demonic entity. So
and by the way, if you guys start seeing a pattern of rapey shit happening in the Warren stories.
Ooh, there's a reason
We'll
why.
get to the reason for that later.
There's a good reason for that.
So the Warrens came in. By the way, the family lived in this house for nearly 10 years after the supposed activity. Okay. Supposedly Ed came in, they did a seance, and then they did an exorcism, even though Ed has contradicted himself, saying, well, I'm not authority to do so. We have to have somebody from the Catholic Church to do so. But you know what? We can't wait. Well, I'll just do it. I can do it, kind of deal. So,
now, to Ed's credit, and this is the one few pieces of credit I'll give him, he was recognized not as someone who was allowed to perform exorcists, but he was the very first and one of the very few individuals outside the clergy who the Catholic Church did recognize as a real demonologist. Yeah. He was acknowledged by the Catholic Church. But yeah, that's
church loved them because they were, during the time the Warrens were active, brought a lot of people back to church. So the church loved them as a spokesperson. These are turning people, demons, ghosts, all this stuff. Okay, we're going to go back. I think eventually what happened was the mother claimed she was like pinch slapped, stabbed by the Bathsheba. Eventually, that's what it's known to be. So similar in the movie where the mother was attacked, mostly because the witch ghost had a thing for her husband. So she would wake up and like this thing would be in the corner and attack her, and it's mostly to get to her husband. So yeah, there's a lot to this, but I think a daughter wrote about her experience too. One of the older daughters wrote about it.
Yes, yeah. The parent, what was her name? I've got it written down in my notes somewhere. I'll find it. But yes, she actually did write about her own. So the parent experiences they're interesting. But once again, this is another case of the Warrens invited themselves. They were never called. They showed up, and Papa Perrin, he actually didn't like Ed Warren that much, to the point where he hauled off and punched him in the fucking face when his wife started acting all wonky during the seance.
Daughters.
What?
Because of, Ed's, we'll get to it, but Ed's history, and Dad's got a bunch of young daughters around, and and by the way, the seance the exorcism happened in the basement of the farmhouse, similar to what the movie plays out. So the movie actually is pretty close to the Ed and Lorraine telling of this story. So not factual in the ghost part, but factual in what they told the public.
I mean, in their version, it's a full-on exorcism, whereas in the real world, it was just a seance. But yeah, you're right. It's probably their most accurate telling of anything they've done. Now, this is just the Google AI version about of Bathsheba Sherman, but it's worth bringing up because even Google AI gets this story right. The story of Bathsheba Sherman as a baby-murdering, Satan-worshipping witch is a fabrication that began in 1973, not a true account of the real Bathsheba Sherman, a documented local woman who lived and died in the mid-19th century. Historical records show no evidence of her involvement in witchcraft or child murder, and a child who died in her care she was found not guilty of any wrongdoing. The elaborate legend was promoted by the Parent family as part of their book series, the subsequent Conjuring movie, which created a fictional narrative that became conflated with historical events. So the real woman, Bathsheba Thayer Sherman, 1812 to 1885, was a historical figure from Rhode Island. She married Judson Sherman, had a son Herbert, who was a farmer. She lived a normal life. Origins in the 70s. The stories about a witch named Bathsheba Sherman were popular today, were created in 1973, not existing before that time, according to historian Jamie Rubio. The baby murdering story. The tale claims she killed an infant with a sewing needle, sacrificed it to Satan, and the story is completely without historical support. Slanderous and false. Rubio states the stories were woefully inaccurate, slandered a good woman's name. Now, the reason this is so fucked up is because this is her real grave. After these stories started gaining prominence, especially after the Warrens came and started writing about it, vandals came and destroyed the woman's headstone.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine like someone just made up some bullshit about like your great aunt or like your great grandmother, and then all of a sudden you have to worry about people coming in and like defacing her headstone or just even walking around town.
Aside from the shit that we're going to get into near the end, I think this is one of the worst things that's ever happened because of some of the Warrens' involvement in shit. Is like, now again, the Warrens didn't actually make up the lie about Bathsheba Sherman. The parents did, but the Warrens' books spread it and propagated it. So they are just as much at fault because they obviously knew she was not any sort of Satanist or whatnot. And again, you now defaced this, as far as all historical records show, good woman's grave.
Yeah, and you don't have anybody to count. Nobody's gonna. And this is during the time the internet did not exist, so nobody is going to combat you on it, especially of how popular they were. Like, people don't understand, they were on talk shows all the time. They were books, interviews all the time. They were well-known names in the media all the time. And again, like, the Catholic Church put them on a pedestal as well because, like I said, it brought people back to church. So, yeah, this is not cool. The way they defamed this family, in a sense, too. Think of having the last name Sherman.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And it was like, if you were going out and they were saying this about a long dead relative of yours, and you're saying, well, no, that didn't happen. Well, like, there's no way that you're going to be able to refute it because these two psychos just wrote a book about it. And they're in well social standing. Like, it's absurd, and it really is illegal. I mean that's libel.
Well, and it goes. So the legend was promoted by the parent family in their books, later popularized in The Conjuring. The film was considered fictional, despite being marketed as based on a true story, with many elements presented as being pure embellishment. Historical records show no legal action was ever brought against Bathsheba Sherman. And then the worst part, it gets even worse because the woman that lives in the house now, well, I don't know if she still lives there now, but there was a woman that lived in that house,
the Conjuring house,
the Conjuring house, when the film came out, and she was also subjected to mass harassment of a bunch of people trespassing on her property, like hiding out in her barn, trying to catch demons and ghosts, putting fucking cameras and whatnot in her house while she was living there, to the point where she actually sued Warner Brothers.
I think she sold the house recently too. I think the house was on the market last year or the beginning of this year, and then someone bought it. Too,
I was not aware. I didn't think she was still living there, but I didn't know there had been a purchaser.
It got turned into like, oh, you can go and tour the Conjuring house.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, if people were gonna be showing up with shit like cameras and whatnot anyway, may as well goddamn.
Sorry. The Conjuring house will be sold at auction on Halloween.
So coming up. Gotcha. Well,
yeah.
If any of y'all want to donate mass sums of money to Tinful of Haters, we could go go in on the joint Tinful of Haters own the Conjuring house scheme.
Yeah, and if not, we'll have just a real nice place to settle down in Rhode Island.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Matt Rife also
bought that too?
Bought that too.
Yeah.
Great. So now we've got the Conjuring 2 story, the story from the second one, which is in the films, they go to the UK because there's a single mom who is being haunted and her youngest daughter is supposedly being possessed and she's levitating. And this is how much do you know about this story? We'll start with Cindy this time. We haven't started with her at all. Do you know anything about not Edinburgh?
Enfield.
The Enfield Poltergeist? You're muted. You're still muted.
Has to happen at least once.
You've literally got muted on StreamYard.
There we go.
Nope.
No.
There she is. Okay.
No, I don't know this one.
Okay, you don't know this one at all? Do you know the Enfield haunting, Sammy?
Yeah, I mean, this was the one in London. This is the one. This is the one that was portrayed in 2, but this is the one where I'm pretty sure that Ed Warren basically told that girl, where the girl came out later and basically said, Ed Warren told me to say these things, and
no, I don't think we're talking about the same one then, unless we've got different information. But what about you, Nadia? What do you know about this one?
It surrounded Janet, who is one of the younger children. There's actual photoproof evidence of her levitating from the bed. Police officers report seeing chairs move across the room itself. Dozens of neighbors, journalists, investigators witnessed standby a strange event. However, many of the photos and recordings had been hotly debated. Some suggest that Janet
the one of her levitating has been proven fake. Yeah.
Really?
The one of her levitating was proven fake.
It's 2 years. It was 1977 to 79. Furniture were moving on their own, knocking on the walls. objects levitating, like toys, chairs. Even the children supposedly were levitating as well.
And
but
the
it was
neighbors,
Janet, who
like,
was,
remember the scene in the
targeted.
movie where the neighbors come in and they actually hear the knocking on the walls and whatnot? That is actually real. Like, the neighbors to this day are like, this is well before the Warrens were ever involved. The neighbors were like, no, the single mom, like, she came over asking for our help. We went in and shit was going haywire and we couldn't explain it. However, several of the daughters have stated since that they were faking at least parts of it, that it was real, but they were faking more of it. Now, when it comes to the Warrens, the reason we bring up The Conjuring 2, so we've got this right here. The Conjuring 2.
Real quick,
go for
why
it.
would you
Go for it.
fake it if you already have something that's terrifying?
Because the girls wanted to see, the reason they claim is the young girls wanted to see if the cops and the people investigating would be able to tell the difference between what they were doing and what the real ghosts were doing.
Oh, that's bullshit. That is a bullshit
That's what they
excuse.
say. Yeah, I agree. It's a bullshit excuse. So we have, and if you've seen the movie, of course, the Warrens come in, they save this family, a happy ending. They fight the nun in the attic, shit like that, right? Well, here's the real story. The demonologist Ed and Lorraine Warren really investigated the Enfield Poltergeist case.
Nah.
Yes, but to a far lesser degree than portrayed in the movie, which is somewhat misleadingly billed as based on a true case of the Warrens. Paranormal researchers Ed and Lorraine Warren briefly investigated the Enfield Poltergeist in the summer of '78. They were just two of the many investigators to visit the Hodson's North London home on Green Street. Most articles about the Enfield Poltergeist case don't even mention the Warrens, leading one to conclude their role in the case was significantly dramatized for Conjuring 2. In fact, Guy Lyon Playfair, one of the original paranormal investigators and the main paranormal investigator for the story, came forward prior to the movie's release and said that the Warrens had shown up uninvited, only stayed for a day. He also, that Ed Warren told him he can make a lot of money off this case, which Lyons wasn't trying to do. They were there for a fucking day. The whole movie about them in this case, it's a 2-year-long case. The Warrens were there for a day.
That's insane.
It's insane to me that people think Ed and Lorraine Warren is exactly how Vera and Patrick portray them in these movies, and it's completely opposite. They completely opposite with a lot of this. And it's the fairy tale storytelling that they're very good at. And it breaks my heart because there are people who are probably experiencing a lot of this stuff who maybe they could have helped, but because they couldn't get a story out of it, or maybe they couldn't get money out of it in any way, then they wouldn't help them. But yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because now we're going to get in, because we're going to be wrapping up soon because Nadia's got her show. I'm going to real quickly touch on one more case. Then we're going to get into the actual real dark shit. So let's just go ahead and minimize this for now. So everyone's familiar with the film A Haunting in Connecticut. Came out in 2009 or so. You remember that?
Yeah. Pretty cool.
They were also attached to that case. They are not in the movie because they aren't a very big part of that case, but they counted as one of their thousands upon thousands of cases, and how the Warrens tried to spin it as, oh, it turns out the house you live in is it was a prior funeral home where the funeral director was fucking the corpses. And they tried in their book spin as this huge revelation when no, the family knew that the house they were in was an ex-funeral home. Also, it didn't become haunted until the family was facing eviction. Then all of a sudden, our house is haunted. And the son, the main son, the one that was possessed, was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
What?
Leon, I'm surprised you didn't go after the Devil Made Me Do It case, because they were brought in to help this guy get off on the case so that they can basically claim that he was criminally insane because he was possessed at the time. For doing these crimes.
I was trying to stick with the ones from the movies because I know you've got limited time and I don't want to stream over you. So I was trying to
you're fine.
We'll do Annabelle, Haunting in Connecticut, the 2 Conjuring films. But then the real reason is to get into what we're about to get into. So we're gonna read through here, and Sammy, you're awake, right? You look like you're dead. Okay, gotcha.
No,
you look like
I thought he was asleep too.
sorry, I was texting somebody.
The Warrens continued to grow in popularity in the 1970s and onward, eventually earning the reputation as America's most famous paranormal investigators. But not everything was coming up roses for the Warrens. While they cultivated a wholesome public image built on family and faith, disturbing allegations emerged later. In 2014, a woman named Judith Penny accused Ed Warren of initiating a decades-long relationship with her, which began when she was a 15-year-old high school student and he was a mid-30s school bus driver.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, they claimed that she was.
I take it you're
a
not aware of
live-in
this
niece.
part, Cindy.
They
Not
claimed she was a live-in niece, Simi. They said, "Oh, she's just
Yeah.
our niece." When
Oh,
they
yeah.
yeah.
oh my goodness.
It gets worse, Cindy.
No,
It
it gets so much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Judith said she lived with the Warrens for 40 years. This arrangement even led to her arrest in 1963 because at the time it was illegal for an unmarried woman to cohabitate with a married man. She refused to admit the affair. She was sent to a delinquent youth office for a month. She also claimed that Lorraine knew about the affair
Yep.
and that despite being married to Lorraine, Ed called his young lover the love of his life. Nevertheless, in public, Judith was often referred to as the Warrens' niece or poor local girl they had taken in.
What the fuck?
Yep. And the
Anything
background-
anybody want to add before we go further?
Like I said.
They're both con artists. They both went to school for the arts, by the way, like theater. So
Yes.
they both have a degree in it too for performance. Too. So like, yeah, they are not the lovey-dovey couple everybody thinks that Patrick Wilson and Vera, I forgot what her last name is, portrays in the movies.
Yeah, no, it's also pretty well documented that like Ed used to beat the shit out of Lorraine. And,
we're still getting to that. Yep.
Okay,
When Judith became, right. This part's excellent. When Judith became pregnant in 1978, Lorraine gave the young woman two options: either lie and say that she'd been raped and did not know the father of the child, or have an abortion. Judith was told the Warrens' reputation would suffer if she did not follow Lorraine's orders, so the young woman eventually agreed to the abortion.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
These are
Ed
supposed to be
isn't the
Catholic
only dirty
people.
one here. Ed and Lorraine were both horrible people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they claim to be like these Christian, Catholic, loving people that want to help individuals and stuff, but look, real monsters behind the doors. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, in every one of these cases, the only true monsters are the Warrens.
So, adding to the controversy, Judith claimed that Ed was physically and emotionally abusive towards Lorraine and even knocking her unconscious on occasion. Additionally, Judith alleged that she helped Ed Warren stage photos proving the paranormal. Now, let's take a look at this. We actually have some footage here. This is one of these this is the only video, at least to my knowledge, the only real, quote unquote, real video that Ed Warren ever released. Obviously, the music has been added for effect, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Bro, that looks more like an alien than a ghost. Like a big ass head.
I can't see shit.
It was a white figure, let's say right around. Let's see if I can point
It's
it
so
out.
funny
Yeah.
to me because this is one of the few things he's ever released, but they never would like give up their photos or videos or whatever.
Right. It's one of the few he ever released. Watch
Yeah.
this figure right here, Cindy. This is the woman in white.
Okay.
You're moving.
You know what it reminds me of? There
What's
was a quote unquote paranormal encounter that people had a video of these really long-legged aliens that kind of walked funny, and it kind of looked like that. I wish I could find it. I saw it on Slapped Ham once, like a long time ago. But like,
Go for it. Continue, my bad.
I don't know. It just, I don't know that that's real. It looks
It's
fake.
not real. What it is this is Judith in fucking bed
Yeah.
sheets wrapped around her that he literally told this girl, who again was, I don't know if she was underage at the time of this, but this underage 15-year-old girl that he groomed, that he effectively statutorily raped, that he chose over his wife, that he took in for 40 years. He told her, wrap yourself in some white sheets, go out into this cemetery. I'm going to film you.
That
and
is-
pass it off as real ghost evidence.
Peepers.
So yeah, here and the last real light portion of this that we'll talk about is why this is I guess alleged, even though we all know it's true. Do you know how much do you know about the contractual side of things, Nadia? The Hollywood contract side.
I think Lorraine was overseeing it before she died. A lot of the stuff.
She
but I
she
think
saw the first,
it's
oversaw
mostly
the first two films.
their son-in-law, right? Who has most
But
control over.
do you know what Lorraine put in the contract for the films? Which again,
I heard this earlier today, and
non-disparagement
I
is
can't
normal,
remember.
but these had some very specific requests. Go for it.
No,
you
I
know.
don't remember. Go for it. I
Sammy,
was
do you
listening
remember?
today.
Or do you know?
One of the requests it had I do there was a couple. One of the requests was like you can't show them fighting.
We keep saying requests, demands. These were Lorraine Warren's contractual demands to get these movies made.
Just heard it today on the last podcast on the left, and I completely don't remember what.
Yeah,
they were
I was going to
saying.
say
Yeah.
I was reading something quite similar, but I mean
something
there was you couldn't pose them in any sort of disparaging light. There was certain things that you couldn't have them doing as far as
Right. Do you remember what those things were? Because non-disparagement is normal for these sorts of films, but it was but normally you don't go into specificities. Lorraine specified no portrayals of anyone in the Warren family having extramarital relations or relations with underage individuals.
That's what it is. Yep.
Why would you feel the need to specifically put those two things in the contract if they weren't true?
I thought that was in there, and I thought that was like, even though they wouldn't show this, like him getting like rough with her, which totally don't, right?
That was also in the contract that they were not allowed to show them in a negative light, which showed any sort of physical or mental abuse.
That's what I was trying to. I wasn't able to get it out correctly.
Now,
but,
what makes all this even crazier? When this was being done, when this contract was being drawn up, guess what Judith got?
What?
A $150,000 payment to rights for her life story, to the rights of her life story.
I'm not surprised. Spoiler alert for the movie. The movie ends with Ed and Lorraine's story, but it's definitely setting up Judith taking over the stupid franchise.
No. But, so, I mean, I'm sure the movie's doing that or not, but the reason they did this, if they bought the rights to her story, it's so that she can't tell it. They can. So they basically gave her hush money. It's basically $150,000 to never say anything in any public writing or movie or whatnot about fucking Ed Warren for 40 years.
Oh my goodness.
Now they have the rights.
Same applied to the son-in-law too, I would assume then?
I don't know. I didn't look too much up into the son-in-law, so I honestly couldn't.
Because I know the son-in-law took over the occult museum and all, continued the work and stuff for that, like charging people to go through it and maintaining it before Matt Rife bought it. But yeah, interesting.
So, yeah, that more or less concludes this. It was again. There's actually a lot more that you could point to when it comes to the Warrens that are 100% fake and complete dog shit. But Nadia streams in literally a few minutes, and we want to again. This is our Conjuring block, our Conjuring hour.
We got time. I don't go for another half hour. We got like 10-15 minutes.
Oh, I thought you said you need to be out by 15 by 8:15.
Oh, sorry, I meant 20.
Oh, well, shit.
Right. We got time. We got at least.
I was trying to speed through this shit. Then I didn't realize we had time. I was like,
sorry,
okay, my bad.
I apologize. I'm bad on time and time zones.
Me too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wouldn't want? Because I mean, I went through the main points that I had on my notes. So there's any additional notes that you want to bring up or that Sammy or anyone else has, go for it. Because I was speeding through to make sure we could get to your show.
I think so. Again, I think there's a little bit of. Definitely there are cases that to be debunked, but like the last movie is based off the Smurl case, which I think has a little bit of weight to it, but not to the degree that I want
to bring up as well. We have more time. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, not to the weight that Ed and Lorraine. Again, I think they took advantage of people who maybe were in trying times or having difficulties to spin it so that they can come out as the heroes, and it's not that case. Some of these families were left off worse than ever after the Warrens got involved in these cases.
Really?
Yeah, some of the families
because of their involvement, you mean, or it's just like
because of the elaboration that they would do in the public eye on these families. Like some of these families had to like move out of their places. Some of these families, and I'm not talking about like there are 100 of cases of these people being involved. We're just talking about the highlighted ones that Hollywood highlights themselves, right? With each movie that we get, not even in the Conjuring series, but there's been so many remakes of the Amityville movie.
Right.
Haunting in Connecticut.
There's another Amityville movie coming out.
Yeah.
Gord put it in the group chat. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why are you doing Amityville movies at this point? We know it's fake, or do people just not care?
No, people
don't
don't care.
No, they don't
People
care.
don't care. Yeah. Yeah. And again, like we were talking backstage, these are popcorn horror movies where it's like, I hate to call it normies, but normies will go see these movies because these are cases and movies that have been around, right? We've seen documentaries about Ed and Lorraine Warren and stuff. People have TV series and stuff. So I think it just sucks that they're highlighted as these heroes when they've ruined a lot of people's lives.
Normally I can separate the art from the artist, right? Normally like a movie like The Conjuring or whatnot wouldn't bother me, but because of just the sheer level of grifting and damage that the Warrens have done, I can't watch the movie. Like, even before I knew that. First of all, I didn't like the first Conjuring movie anyway. We talked about this backstage. I didn't like the first one that came out, but I also didn't have anything major against it. Once I actually learned about who the Warrens were, I was kind of disgusted that they were making these films as they were, because it is such. It goes beyond fabrication. Like this is blatant deification of terrible people.
Yeah,
also,
the
I think
Conjuring
we
TV
underestimate
series,
the constant. I just want to say destruction that the phrase "based on a true story" just
I
does
hate
to,
that.
like, our call. Yeah, so I think it's absurd. I think it's so damaging. I think it promotes just misinformation.
I can understand from a Hollywood standpoint, of a director standpoint, because if you say something is based off a true story, there's a level of fear that is added to the audience experience for it. But these Conjuring movies,
I'll wait. Go for it.
No, go ahead, Leon.
Well, I was just say, dude, I guarantee you that Quentin Tarantino hypothetically could have put "based on a true story" for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because of things like Bruce Lee being there, because of the ties into the Sharon Tate and whatnot, and it would actually. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is probably more accurate than any of these Conjuring films. What actually happened is my point.
Yeah, Inglourious Bastards, same thing.
But I'm saying it's a marketing ploy. It's a ploy to get people in the mindset that, oh shit, this could really happen, so that when you go see a scary movie like The Conjuring, and you go home at night and you think there's an entity in your corner or your basement is haunted, right? It just adds a level to people.
Right,
again,
but
I
why
think
would
these
you
movies
do
are
it
more
with such terrible, like obviously terrible people? Like, to me, this is the equivalent. It's not really the equivalent, but it would be in the vein of like My Roommate Hitler and doing like a sitcom about Hitler when he was like in art school and whatnot, and making him this fun, fun going, happy-go-lucky, jovial dude. And like,
because nobody knows the true story. Because nobody will take the time to research and look into these cases and look into Ed and Lorraine's history. And to be honest, they give Catholics a bad name. And granted, we're not doing so hot.
I mean, there's a lot of things in Catholics' bad name.
But I'm saying, like, it does more harm than good to, and there's a lot of cover up with like the affair with the alleged affair, right? Nobody's ever come out and said it's alleged.
I think we have to say alleged for legal reasons, but it's not alleged. Homie was fucking a 15-year-old girl in Minecraft.
100% agree with you, but it's just these movies aren't meant. I don't think there's very much depth.
You mean Roblox?
These movies, I think it's just so much. So again, they're more for like the masses, right? They're for the IPs. They're the ones at different haunted houses that are based off. People who don't really watch horror movies be like, "What's your favorite?" They'll list off like Insidious or Conjuring, like these type of movies. But yeah, Catholics have done it to themselves. Watch your mouth, Gooch.
I mean,
Crusades are coming back, my guy. Crusades are coming back.
Panel that's not a Catholic. I didn't realize that I was the only one on the panel not a Catholic, which is crazy.
I don't know. First of all, I wouldn't recommend going to see the latest movie, even though it's doing well. And look at it; it's doing well at the box office. It's like what, one of the fourth biggest horror movies.
This is another reason I hate these films. Not only do they deify the Warrens, which were objectively terrible people, but they took these films and basically made them the MCU of horror films.
Yes.
So not only do they deify them, but they deify them in what might be the biggest horror franchise that's normally accessible of all time.
Sorry, but Catholics are the biggest hypocrites. Calling me hypocrite. Just broke my heart.
So one more thing I want to touch on with Lorraine Warren. I meant to bring up at the beginning. So both the Warrens, they met when they were 15 years. What?
Her fetus looking head, but go ahead.
No, they met when they were 15. He worked at the movie theater. She would often go to the movie theater. They were the same age, whatnot. They started dating. He goes off to World War II. He comes back. They get married. They have a kid. But he grew up believing he lived in a haunted house. Ed Warren claimed he would see the ghost of the landlord. Now, Lorraine, that's normal for kids, to believe that sort of shit. I believed that sort of shit when I was a kid. But Lorraine Warren she was 9 years old, and she claimed she could see people's auras, and she never talked about it because she thought everyone could. And then when she was in ninth grade, she was in ninth grade. When she was 9 years old, she was in Catholic school. She was seeing all the teachers' auras, and that's how she knew who was the good teachers and who was the bad. And then she found out that other people couldn't do it, and she's like, I must be clairvoyant. Dude, okay, how much of this shit, first of all, do you believe in any truth to Lorraine Warren being any sort of clairvoyant?
No.
Panel-wide question.
No, not at all.
I think I think there are certain people who are born with certain senses, like how women say motherly intuition or women's intuition, right? I think there are people like I can go in, I can realize this is a bad situation just based off feelings. There have been many times where I'm like, Chris, we got to leave. I just don't, this is just something's throwing my red flag off, right? So I think there are people that are maybe more sensitive to the energy that is around them. To say that she's seen entities and demons and ghosts, she would be possessed herself, in a sense. Like she would need an exorcism if she's seeing these things around her.
Yeah, and also people would intervene on those things where, like, if you're seeing these things, like, people would start to single you out as weird, and you know what I mean? There doesn't appear to be anything like that with her, where, like they'd be like, oh, that, that Lorraine chick, like, there's something going on with her, because she saw someone walk by the other day, and she was just like staring at, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing like that, or at least she's never said there's anything like that. She would be chastised in one way or another.
And being Catholic, being brought up Catholic herself, she shouldn't. Again, I'm bringing this up because if they are true Catholics, they don't believe in ghosts. They believe that people go to an afterlife. That is just how it is. Like, you could debate it. That's a theology debate. But if you're a true Catholic, you don't believe that ghosts are around. You believe that people die, they go to an afterlife or limbo, depending if they're baptized or not. But that we do believe that there are demonic entities and things like that. If she is seeing demonic entities, she herself is possessed. She and herself are attracting something like that to dark. So in a sense, she would need church interference for that. She's not clairvoyant.
It's funny you bring that up, though, because if what I was reading was true, and again, I don't, because this was so long ago and whatnot, because they've changed the story so many goddamn times, we don't know what's true, and that's a really annoying part of this. But according to what I was reading, while Lorraine could see people's auras and whatnot, she didn't believe in ghosts. Ed did. She didn't. And it wasn't until Ed took her on several of their first few ghost hunting
until he beat the shit out of her a couple times.
Well, he also said he was haunted by a nun growing up, like a ghost nun.
So that explains his behavior.
Well, here's what I mean. Again, we're talking about real life grifters. Do you know how they got into the first several haunted houses that they, haunted houseified? I guess did they investigated?
They probably claimed to be like either members of the press or like representatives of the church.
Nope,
or something.
Even weirder than that. Nadia, do you know? Cindy, do you know?
Nope.
Can't remember. No.
So someone mentioned earlier, I think it was Nadia, that they had gone to art school, which, yes, Ed did go to art school. He actually was a talented artist. He would sit outside these haunted houses. He would paint the haunted houses. Then he would, supposedly haunted houses. Then he would go up to them and, knock on the door. And when the owners would answer, be like, hey, I painted your house. You want to check out this painting? And they would invite the Warrens in, and they would just steer the conversation towards, we heard your house is haunted. You want us to take a look?
Wow.
Yeah, I was listening to that today on it.
Bro, the grift was real with these people.
And it's really sad, to be honest. Like, as a fellow Catholic who believes in a lot of this stuff, and Gooch is right here, I think the Catholic Church has become too much of a corporate situation versus not
absolutely.
helping people. I don't believe in organized religion in the sense that you're required to do so. I think you can pray the rosary at home and have a connection with the Lord. But
I 100% agree.
I agree with work from home religion. Yes.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I think the church is too...
I'm not making fun of you.
Yeah,
Again, I'm openly Christian. I'm not Catholic, but I'm openly Christian.
Yeah.
I don't go to church because, like you,
It's
I
sad.
have issues. I have issues with the organized religion aspect of it.
Oh,
I
I'm
do
reading
too,
something worse
100%.
about this Judith Penny shit.
Oh, what is it? We'll wrap on that. We got about 4 minutes left. We still have outros. So what is it?
Okay, so eventually, when Judith got
Neanderthal-
caught, they tried to send her to like a juvenile, like a home for like juvenile delinquents.
They did send her for a month. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then she had to like report to like on a monthly basis. Guess who drove her to every
Probably Ed, I would imagine,
Ed.
right?
yeah, it was
Yeah.
Ed.
Oh
So,
my God.
so it's like the guy that you're having this terrible like relationship with, and he's like, "Oh, hold on, honey, just let me drop you off to this." I was like, "This is different times."
Gooch, I agree with you. The Catholic Church is too far away from their flock in a sense. It's too separated from it. The teaching of the Bible, basically the Bible teaches you not to be a dick. In the simplest terms, the Bible says don't be a
Pretty
dick. And the church
Which is why
too
I'm a
far
terrible
from-
Christian, by the way.
But the church is too like separated from the actual teachings of Christ and the Bible, especially the Catholic Church. Like, you can find very good Catholic church. I had a very good Catholic church back in Indiana. I had a priest who was like, a lot of this stuff is bullshit. This is what, you're supposed to be taught and stuff. But yeah, it's people like Ed and Lorraine Warren, and of course the other issues with the Catholic Church that's happened over the years that give it a bad name, and it's why people have turned away from religion and from the teachings of Christ and the Bible. So yeah, thank you, Dempsey. Love God and don't be a dick.
Yeah.
There you go.
Speaking of loving God and not being a dick, don't be a dick. Make sure to like and subscribe to everybody on this channel. God would love that. We're going to get out of here and Rain and Nadia because we have 2 minutes till it's time to go. We still got, outros and all that. So, Nadia, tell the people who you are, what you do, what you got coming up. Obviously, we're doing the Conjuring block. You've got that. But anything else you want to talk about?
I am going to be talking about the Conjuring: The Last Rites with Sketch and Sin's Corner. They're going to be joining me to talk about the movie. We'll talk about overall franchise, but we're going to focus on The Last Rites. Spoiler alert, I did not like it. And you can catch me every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern time. I talk about news, horror, things I've watched. Friday is Stranger Things on my channel. We're doing a rewatch to get ready for season 5. And actually, surprisingly, this has kind of piqued my interest back in the paranormal, so I have some ideas coming down the pipeline. But you could
interesting. I do as well, but today's show isn't big enough for me to announce it quite yet. But yes,
let's
maybe
talk.
make some changes as well. But yeah,
okay.
Alrighty.
But yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, happy to do it. Again, we've been talking about doing Warren's episode since nearly the beginning of the show. Is this your first time on TFH?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I thought I would have said so. I couldn't remember. Yeah, we've been talking about doing this episode for a while now. For like, man, maybe we were only 4 or 5 episodes deep, and now here we are. This is almost episode 30.
Well, we originally wanted Nadia on to talk about Jack the Ripper, and
that's true.
Right.
And then it was Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh yeah,
and then
we're still gonna do
scheduling
Skinwalker
things.
Ranch. There's still so much down the pipeline, and with Spooky Month being next month, we'll probably do more government conspiracy style stuff these next few weeks because, and then October might be all spooky all month.
Yeah.
Cindy,
I
tell
would
people
love
who
to
you are,
come
what
back
you
in
do, what you got,
October.
the whole 9.
Yes, come back in October.
Yeah, I would
Um,
love to come back depending on your cases. But yeah, sorry, Cindy.
No, guys, I will be streaming Midnight Sin tonight. I'm looking up some topics right now so that we have things to discuss. But I don't know. Netflix Foreign has been talking about some interesting stuff in the comments, so I might try to hit them up and see what they were talking about. Anyway, so make sure you guys check that out. And then we'll be celebrating Zaxby's birthday tomorrow. So make sure you guys hang out over there with him and wish him a happy birthday.
Sammy, what about you? Actually, before Sammy gives his, we got Girthy Banana coming with a 2-banger telling us that we all need to repent. And to that I say,
repent!
Thank you so much, Girthy Banana. Sorry, go for it, Sammy.
Yeah, so in a little bit here, I'll be on Mr. Burger's channel for a he has a trivia show, so I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring on that. See how I do tomorrow. I will also be checking in with Zach's, wishing him a happy birthday. Then I'll be going right into Devil Made Me Do It. I'm a regular panelist on Make Me a Sandwich. Thursday, Thursday I will be on Roman's channel, and then right after that I will be on Darnell's channel with Two Pigs in a Sieve. And then Friday, I believe I'll be on Nia's channel. We'll be discussing Tim Burton's Batman. And then, of course, we have Cavecast. And then in other news with Sammy on Sunday. So,
Batman.
You love to see it. Guys, as for me, I will also be with Zach's tomorrow on his birthday. But before that's going to be amazing. But before that, we'll be doing the lunch hour. My channel, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be going through the lunch hour, news, reviews, the whole nine, what we do every Wednesday and Thursday and Saturday. However, I also would like to implore you guys. I'm 21 subs away from that 8,000 mark. Video from today is blowing up. Share it, like it, watch it. If you haven't watched it, also definitely fucking watch it. But yeah, it's looking like we might be hitting that 8K by the end of the week if things keep going like this. So would love to see everybody show up and show out for that video and all those upcoming. But guys, thank you so much. Those of you that donated, thank you so much. You don't need to, you do. It means the world to me. It is what allows me to sustain doing this full time. You were the best. For those of you that can't or unable to, that's a-okay as well. You being here, able to add to the conversation. It truly does work. It does help. So until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere, and this has been Words of Paradise.